Hey, I wanted to do another video, my second video for today. I hope I will upload it today. Um, yes, I'm a little bit oversharing, but I don't know, I'm really motivated on this YouTube grind right now, and I want to grow my channel to get a bigger audience. So I'm really motivated to do a lot of videos. I don't know, it's just so much fun to put out stuff. Yeah. So I was drawing for a while, and I felt for like half an hour I felt really depressed because I was like, I'm never gonna do it. Nobody is gonna read my manga. And I looked at Webtoon. Sorry, I drank some coffee. This is why I was not burping, but there was some stuff coming into my throat. I don't know how to say this. My stomach was reacting. But this is the reason why the sound was there. So I was like, nobody's gonna read that, and I looked at Webtoon, and I looked what there is stuff on Canvas, and there's some good stuff on Webtoon. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff you could read, I'm not really on Webtoon because I even struggle to read manga or watch anime, and I wanna spend my time on that. So I don't really sorry I don't really read stuff on Webtoon, but I see also a lot of stuff on Canvas, and I'm gonna say that out to you. I'm just a really honest artist. I don't care anymore. I'm not always super nice. I can be mean sometimes, but I don't care because I just want to be honest and real with you. There is stuff on Webtoon where I look at that and I'm like, I'm fucking pissed off that this stuff gets more views than mine because I don't understand why. Because the art is not as good as I'm not a super good artist. There is stuff on Webtoon where I'm like, this is like, my art is not very great. I'm not really good in drawing. I have to work on that. So art-wise, I understand when people would struggle with the manga, but I can tell you, I'm trying to improve, and the story is good, and it's not the worst art. It's not really good art. I think it's kind of okay to read it. But it could be better. But read it for the story. I mean, of course, I want to become better in my art, and I understand when people want to look at good art. But I'm an artist who thinks if the art is kind of okay and the story is good, then it's more important for me than if the art looks super dope. Like, I'm not gonna read a manga that has super cool art, but there's no story to it. Yeah, but of course, I want to work on my art. So I hope that in the future my art will be better. Sometimes it looks alright, but yeah, I'm still struggling at drawing. But there is stuff on Webtoon where the art is more awful than mine, and it's just the same stuff that we all see on Webtoon, and people are into it. And it has nothing to do with storytelling. I know my story is just the beginning. I know people can't really say where the story is going to, so I understand that people may not be as interested in a story at the beginning because they don't really have a lot of chapters where they can read where the story is going to. But my story begins, I think, better than a lot of stuff that you see in Canvas that gets more views, where it's just about romance, and I don't see a problem in romance itself. But if the characters are really bland and people just want to read that because they want to have a good time, but there's nothing, like, it's not a good storytelling, it's not a good art piece, there's nothing meaningful behind it, but people still gonna read it because they just want to see BL, or they just want to see characters kiss, and that's it, and they just want to have a good time. I fucking hate that. And I know people gonna say now, just let them be. If people want to have a good time, me as a storyteller, I don't understand this, and I feel bad. Sorry. The coffee! It's the coffee! I don't know, my stomach is reacting to it. I feel sorry for every storyteller who really writes something creative, who puts thought into their work, who is trying to be entertaining, someone who really knows the techniques of storytelling, someone who reads books about it, someone who practices constantly to improve their art and their storytelling, who really knows how it goes and gets less views than some stupid stuff on Webtoon. Because on Webtoon there is some stuff where it's just like confy stuff, but the author doesn't has a fucking idea about storytelling. It's not it, but people still gonna read it. People still gonna read it because they're just in their comfort zone, and those people feel like really disillusioned. I'm oh my gosh, I didn't close my door. Sorry. I'm not talking about good webtoons. There are good webtoons out there. I'm not talking about them. I'm not gonna talk about webtoons that take seriously their time in creating a good story, where the storyteller is actually a storyteller, where they actually try to entertain you, where it's not just about comforting you, but instead challenging you as a reader and trying to go out of the comfort zone and really write something that is original, that feels personal, that has meaning to it. You know, I don't think there is such a big issue in the manga industry. Also, there's a lot of stuff bad in the manga industry, but there are much more manga that have meaning than the stuff that gets uploaded on Webtoon. And I'm just pissed, and I have the right to be pissed, because some people are gonna say, but let them be, just let them be on the platform. I don't really everywhere know, but this is something that annoys me, you know? This is a little rant, so I have the right to say that, because storytelling is not just escaping reality and just writing comfy characters that are just nice and nice the whole time, but the whole story is bland and it's the whole time just characters being nice and there's nothing original about it. But still people gonna write that because they wanna read romance the whole time, because they feel so lonely in life that they have to read romance the whole time. Like, people like that are worrisome to me, because you have to get your shit together, you know? Like, I don't mean good romance. If you read good romance, I don't judge you. Like, romance is a genre and it deserves to be seen, and if it's done right, then I don't see a problem with that. I respect romance in every way. I also like to read romance. I totally understand when you want to see your favorite characters kiss and stuff. I totally get that. I just don't like it when there's nothing original or special or unique about a story, and there's no originality in the characters, and it's just the same the whole time. And the art is not even good when you feel like it's not done by someone who truly is trying to work on their craft. Because the thing is, for people who don't know that, storytelling is a craft. It's not just you trying to tell a comfy story. It's like, if you really want to be a good storyteller, you have to read a lot of books, you have to practice your writing, you have to criticize yourself, rethink. You have to include the reader and think, how can I make this interesting to the reader? What can I evoke in a reader? You know, and as a storyteller, not just for me, but for others too, who don't get as much seen as some people on Webtoon, is that those people, including me, are trying to create something interesting. Entertainment is a craft. It's not just making funny stuff. You really have to work on it. You can become better in it over time. It's a skill. And those people don't have any skill. It's like when someone draws a flower every day and they don't get out of their comfort zone to draw something else. And I know in the art community, some people can't take criticism and they will just say, just let them draw that. But it is just hurtful as a storyteller if you are um, working on your craft, you really think what you're doing, you're taking your time, you're trying to be original, you're trying to put meaning into it, and you put a lot of work into it, and then you see somebody just drawing nice characters that are just boring and there's nothing to it, and they just get more seen because everybody is interested in that for some reason. I'm seeing that, I'm like, those people don't fucking know what entertaining stuff is. And I don't want people like this as my readers. And I think there are good webtoons out there. And I saw in the comments, there are good comment sections on Webtoon where people really look out for good webtoons. And I mean, I'm not the only one. There are a lot of videos on YouTube where people are criticizing Webtoon. There are a lot of people who say, like, Webtoon is not a good place to work as a storyteller because there's so much stupid stuff on Webtoon. There's some good stuff, but there's also a lot of bad stuff. And there are people on Webtoon who want to see good stuff and are really interested in reading good Webtoons. It's not like nobody there is interested in good stuff, but you really have to find it. And the problem is, those people don't really see my stuff right now, because there are so many people who just read cutesy stuff that there's nothing wrong with drawing something cute if there's some charm to it, but they like it's like, and yeah, I know everybody is allowed to draw, but it's a craft. It's a craft, it's a skill. There are people who have no skill, and I just see those people as an artist who improve on themselves, who challenge themselves, who get out of their comfort zone, who really put their heart into creating something original, who really have an impact on you. And one really important thing, we're not running away from real life, art that stays real. Because when you just draw cute stuff, I think those people just read stuff to escape reality. I know real life is hard sometimes, and it's totally fine to have a break and read something that just gets you into another headspace, and you don't have to think about how hard life is sometimes. I understand that, but I don't like it, and I don't want people like this as my readers. So those people not clicking on my Webtoon is actually a good thing, but I don't like people who are totally disillusional and just overconsume stuff by just reading a bunch of stuff that is totally far away from reality, and surrounding themselves with that and not seeing life at what it is, And I just prefer art that is real. I just prefer stories that I can read that don't take me out of reality, but instead are inspirational, have an impact on me, and I can learn something from it as a human being, but I still stay connected to reality, And I don't see that on Webtoon a lot. I see so much stuff, and you have to understand, when you take this serious and you're putting so much time into it, and no one sees it, or like everybody, like people don't really click on it because it's not two hot guys kiss, but instead, and I have gay characters in my story too. It's not like I don't include gay characters. I'm inclusive, but it's not just romance and like comfy stuff, but it's like original, like all basically when you create something on Webtoon that is different than everybody else probably will not be seen at the beginning. This is just my experience, even if your stuff is good. I know my art is not the best, and I'm pretty sure there are people who look at my art and they're just like, I don't like it because I don't really like the art. That's all right. I don't judge you, you know. But when people are not interested because it's something different and because it is challenging your mind, because there is not just, you know, some people just want to see handsome dudes in a story, and that's it. I want readers who really like to see real characters. And it's sad to me to see that there are people who click on my manga and they just see, there's like um, a girl and she gets bullied. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know, like, I mean, if it would be just about bullying, but the story in itself wouldn't be interesting to read, then I would understand. And I also understand if it's truly not your thing, but you read a lot of good stories, then I don't care. Even though I have to say, like, I in that term I cannot really say because I'm just a beginner storyteller. I probably will see how good I am at storytelling 5 years from now. So probably I will criticize a lot of my stuff of my first chapters when I'm in the next 5 years, you know. Um, but this is like the thing with storytelling. It's not even taste, you know. Good storytelling is not like taste. It's not like you look at a story and you're like, I like it, I don't like it. I mean, of course, there are stories like some people don't like Evangelion. Evangelion is a good anime, but some people don't like it because of their message. You know, I totally get that not everybody is into every fictional work, and that's all right. But people who like good stories usually abound to a lot of good stories because there is a certain pattern in storytelling that just works. And when you know how to tell a story, and I think I know how to tell stories, and this is not just coming from someone who doesn't have any experience. I was kind of like drawing my own stuff and like trying to tell a little bit of stories my whole life. I started mangas, but I never really was continuing on a work. So there is a lot of experience I have to gain still, but I kind of know a little bit about storytelling, you know? And I can judge a little bit if my story is bad or not. And I know my story is not bad, and I know it's kind of interesting and original. There's a lot of stuff where I'm 100% convinced when I'm 5 years from now on in a story, my stomach again, I will look at that stuff and I will realize I could have done this better and better. And there's a lot of stuff I improved in. You know, I'm not gonna say I'm perfect from the beginning, but I think I'm on a level where I can judge that my storytelling is not the worst. And this is the thing, storytelling is not just an opinion, it's a craft, and there are techniques in storytelling. And I have to read a lot of more books about this. I have to get into that to become better in storytelling. But in general, storytelling is a craft that you can work on, that you can get better in. Entertainment, you try to find ways to keep the reader captivated. There are techniques in storyboarding. Storyboarding is its own job. You can even study that stuff at universities. It's literature, you know. So when people study literature, it's about that basically, you know, or like when they go into filmmaking, you know. So storytelling is not just by accident, you know, and it's something everybody can everybody become a good storyteller. I think people who have their life together and live in reality, when they start to work on the techniques, they can become good storytellers. But people who are just really disillusional and just don't want to go out of your comfort zone, then you will not become a better storyteller, you know? But I think everybody could become a good storyteller, but it starts with you. It's not just learning the technique, it's also about who you are and what your values are in life. And yeah, that's really important, you know, because storytelling is also something personal. But because it's not just, no, like when you learn the techniques and you're actually learning it, then you can write a good story. So everybody can learn to write a good story. It's the same as creating art. Everybody can become a great artist if they practice constantly. You know, if they, and this is like the thing, I don't mean that every good storyteller has to read a bunch of books to be a good storyteller. I also didn't read a lot. I educated myself a little bit with stuff, but just some basic stuff. So this is like the thing, you can also become a good storyteller by just trying to challenge yourself with creative ideas, you know? But reading about storytelling or like educating yourself about it just makes you more professional. And maybe your craft will be more defined and you actually know what you're doing. You know, that doesn't mean that stories are just told by people who just know what they do. There are great artists who don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they create amazing stories because it's personal. So this is, sorry, my stomach. It's the coffee. This is a little bit different to art. When you don't practice art, you can't be good in it, you know, except if you are really original. But with storytelling, some people can be good storytellers from the get-go by accident because they're just really interesting human beings. And they just, like, people who already have a life that kind of painted them may be good storytellers because they just have interesting stuff to tell, you know? But it depends from person to person. But it's a craft that everybody can learn. It's a technique, and there are techniques. And like, I'm not making this up. There are people who studied it, you know? In the film industry, literature, yeah. Comic industry, yeah. So, when you are really working on a craft, what does that mean? That means that you are able to criticize it. You can criticize. Sorry, my German accent comes through, but when you are working on a craft and you really know what you're doing, you are able to criticize it and you are able to judge stuff that is just not really done. And you see when stuff is not really done well, you know? And when you see as a good storyteller, sorry, it's my stomach. It's the coffee. I don't like this in the video, but whatever. You see that stuff and you can judge that. And if people get butthurt about this, this is not my problem because I'm just judging you from a critical profession. Like, I'm not super professional, but from a more professional perspective. And it's the same with criticizing art. And stuff has to be criticized, that art and storytelling can move forward, that we can create good stuff, you know? And if people can't take the criticism, they're just like, just let me tell my story. It's like, you can tell your story, but I can still say it's unfair that there are people who don't care about a good story and just want to see something that is in their comfort zone. I despise people like that. Not just because I don't mean I'm the best artist in the world. I don't mean that. Don't at all. But um I just don't relate to people who are totally far away from reality and don't actually want to see good stuff, you know? And I'm not really talking about myself right now. I'm talking about general stuff. That's my stomach again. I think it stops soon. But I think my story is good, and I think it deserves seen more. I think I take, on Manga Plus creators, there were a lot of people clicking on my chapters, and I was like, yeah, I think it makes sense because I think my story is good. I don't say, this is really important. As an artist, when you are a writer, you can kind of say when your story is alright, because it's not just you creating something by accident. You just had an idea. No, it's really you are trying to take certain techniques of storytelling and try to implement it into your story and try to put into your manga what you learned. So it's not just you trying to create something, and you can't judge on yourself as an artist if that's good. An artist can judge on himself also if they're good. Still, somebody else can judge it from another perspective, and I need readers who tell me good criticism, because the artist can't see everything, but the artist can still say here and there, I have good storytelling because I actually know something about storytelling. It's not like I'm not coming from unexperienced background, I didn't draw a lot of manga, but I was always practicing of learning how to invent interesting stories. I was sometimes here and there starting a comic, but then gave up on it. I never really draw a lot of pages, So I probably struggle in this term. Maybe not, because you can come up with original stuff if you are smart enough, but I don't know. Sorry, my stomach. I don't know how good I am in that term. I'm really embarrassed that my stomach is doing so much noise. It's really embarrassing because it's my coffee I drank, and I don't know. My digestion, I don't know. Yeah, it's just when you look that people like it's like seeing a bunch of idiots, when you see like what gets liked, sometimes you're like, why? The art is not good. It's just and there's kind of the sugarcoating thing on Webtoon, where it's all like cutie and stuff, and it's just about being happy, and there's nothing wrong with telling a story about happiness, but when it's all the same stuff, it's not interesting. When there's no heart behind it, the thing is, everybody can upload on Webtoon, so of course there are a lot of unprofessional people. No, there are a lot of people who don't know anything about storytelling. I don't think everybody on this platform was doing a course about storyboarding. I'm 100% convinced not, so everybody can upload a Webtoon, so you see a lot of trash there. It's different than, I don't know, if you go to a publisher where they actually have to find stuff that kind of sells, or if you are, I don't know, work at Marvel or DC, they need good artists. This is like, you can even study, you can study animation in America, so they actually take people from those universities, so or like, I don't know, really like people who really know how storyboarding goes, whatever. I don't know how it works to get into DC or Marvel. I don't know, but they make sure they get professional artists, you know. And for example, in the manga industry, people work as assistants, so they learn from professional manga artists how it's done. So, of course, when you are not in this industry and you just upload on Webtoon, you will see a lot of stuff by people who are not professional at all. And this, I'm not super professional, but I did some courses, art courses, online, and I educated myself a little bit about stuff. I read some stuff about art and storytelling, and I was trying to work on that every day and here in my life. So I try to improve. I try to be critical, I try to be critical all the time to get out of my comfort zone. So when I just see people who just want to tell a story, but they don't know what they're doing, and people are into it because it's Webtoon, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. And this is the reason why I was I was seeing my Webtoon and nobody was really clicking on it. And I was like, damn. And I see other stuff that is not good. And it gets seen. More people are more interested in that. I just look at it and I'm just like, I'm really pissed right. I was really like disappointed, you know? And I was like, I don't know if people really want to see quality. I know my art is not the best. I know I'm still a beginner manga artist. I know that. But I think my story has value. And it's sad if nobody cares for value, but instead they just want to see something in their comfort zone. And I think a lot of stuff on Webtoon is just there for escapism and not really to actually be artistic. But as I said, I'm not the only one criticizing Webtoon, you know? And I think on the internet in general, a lot of art that is done by people who just get big in the internet, who are working in the industry as at a publisher or something. I don't know. I see a lot of, I'm not really in the art community I'm not really in the art community. I don't really know what there's going on. But I know that there's some artists who don't want to be criticized. And they just post art that is just awful. And yes, you can say as an artist when art is awful. It's not like everything is art. No, not everything is art. What the fucking hell? No. Not everything. Just because you draw something doesn't mean it's good. And the thing is, I don't mean that somebody who starts drawing is automatically no artist. For example, when I go on Manga Plus creators, there's also a lot of not really good stuff, but it doesn't annoy me that much because there are tendencies that people are trying to tell stories about heroes. So they try to tell a shonen, and not because I like shonen and I don't like romance, but they kind of put more effort into it, even though a lot of them can't draw that well. A lot of them put more effort into their stuff, you know? They try. So, you know, somebody who just starts off as an artist, their art maybe not good, but they still may have something to tell. They may still try to be creative and original. If you try hard, you can be original really quickly. If you really think what the current zeitgeist is, you can be original if you're smart enough, you know? You don't have to be the best artist for that. But on Webtoon, there's not a lot of creative stuff there. I see a lot of mangas that are more creative, And yes, I judge stuff, It's not like you have to be aware. I didn't read a lot of stuff, but because I was always trying to practice telling my own stories, I kind of still know what makes a good story, And I read some good story. Like the stuff I read is criticized to be good stuff. Berserk is a good work. Bakuman is kind of has quality to it, So I'm kind of aware of what good storytelling is, I'm not super smart in that, but I kind of know stuff. Yeah. And just, I don't like it and I don't want to surround myself with this, because this is the reason why I don't consume stuff like this on the internet. And I also don't, my stomach again, I don't like to be on the internet a lot, because I have podcasts in the background, but I'm not trying to spend a lot of time on social media, because social media is really toxic and you can spend your time much better. But when I hear that there are so many artists online, not in reality, not real life artists who make it big, who really get famous in reality, who can show their art in museums or stuff. I mean, social media artists. There's so many artists on social media that are just, they don't want to be criticized. They don't want to learn anything new. They just want to draw the same stuff over and over again. And I look at it and I'm like, there's no value to this, And I don't mean that you have to change the world with your art. But I just want to surround myself with people who always try to better themselves, who try to challenge themselves, who try to get out of their comfort zone, who try to improve themselves, and not just stay in their comfort zone and just are not trying to go for some challenges, try to do something different, and instead gooning or something. I don't want people like this in my environment. So I don't surround myself with this, what I see online sometimes. But sometimes you see stuff and you're like, the art community online is really fucking toxic. And there are so many artists who get famous for stuff where I'm just like, I don't understand this. Why this account has so many followers? Their art is not even good. And there's nothing meaningful to the art. And yeah. And I see artists who are really good, and they don't really get a lot of followers, I don't get that. I'm not the best artist. My storytelling is alright, but my art, I mean, it's kind of unique that I have to work on a lot of stuff, This is also another thing. It's not just, I mean, I like to see people who make good art. You can see that in manga. A lot of manga artists are really talented, But I also need art that is a little bit unique. Where sorry, I'm making, man, the coffee, man. Sorry, it's really embarrassing. But I want to talk about this. It's because I talk a lot, I think. But I need originality. I need someone who truly has something to tell, and not just someone who stands out and not just draws pretty art, This is my personal taste, I mean, people who draw pretty but they also do really original stuff are great, This is why I prefer sometimes artists who are not that great, but they really try to try to try to invent themselves and create an original piece. Yeah, but you can do that if you are really knowing your craft. You can do that. So we are 40 minutes in already. Yeah, but I don't know. I just want to talk about that. You know, and I'm not saying like my art. I know my art, especially my line work, is not really that amazing. You know, I just want to say, if you truly do something different and trying to do something original, it's going to be hard. And I just see that with my manga, that I'm trying to create something special, and people don't care about it. I think a lot of people don't see it, and I think there's a lot of stuff I don't like about my manga at the moment, where I'm like, I could be better, you know. I still have to work on it a lot. Um, I'm really sorry for all the sounds my stomach made. It's really embarrassing, but I drank coffee, and for some reason, my stomach doesn't like me talking now. I don't know. So yeah, creating original art is being different is hard because people don't care about you, because being original is kind of weird. You know, I feel like that's the case with my manga right now on Webtoon. Um, you have to grind hard to make it big. I don't know if I ever will be a big artist. Um, it's painful because when I tell my friends my story, they tell me like they really like my story because it's really interesting and special, you know. And people don't give a fuck because I don't know. Um, maybe it's luck. I read the manga Bakumana. They said it's success, but it's also luck a little bit. But it's also like trying to work hard. So I work hard, but it's also like what people like, you know. But I mean, I don't know when my art should become better, and I get better and better in storytelling. Do people really gonna ignore it because they just want to see stupid stuff? I don't get people. You know, sometimes I feel like a loner. I feel like I actually put thought into my I'm not talking about good under artists. I talk about people who don't put a lot of effort in their work and they get seen. And I see all that, like, social media has so many bad artists. Like, not the people who are professionals in the industry. I'm talking about just people being famous on social media. And they're also good artists on social media. Don't get me wrong, they're good artists on social media, you know? But there are also a lot of bad artists. And when you see that, and you see your own story, and you're like, I actually know stuff about storytelling. I actually tell creative ideas. And nobody cares about you. You really lose your hope in humanity, you know? I feel like I'm alone sometimes with that. I feel like, am I the only intelligent person in the room? You know? I'm not talking about people who read my story. I talk about other people who have taste in weird stuff. Where stuff gets famous, where we just don't get it. You know? And especially if you could create stuff your own, it can be really depressing sometimes if you see that this is not interesting to people, because people, I just think there are a lot of stupid people on earth. I think there are a lot of stupid people on earth who are just don't do anything meaningful in life. There are also good people. I know them. I see good artists. I see nice comments, I'm not talking about those, but when you sometimes see how people live their lives and what they consume, and when I talk about consuming, I'm someone who doesn't really consumes a lot of stuff because I want to be productive myself. And when I see people just consuming a lot of stuff, also talking about food when they eat a lot of junk food instead of being healthy, I don't want to be friends with people like this, because I don't think those people live their life to the fullest. I want to be friends with people who truly try to create cool stuff, who try to do something that is valuable to people, that is valuable to themselves, people who challenge themselves, and not people who just consume a bunch of stupid stuff, and I see that sometimes on social media, and I don't, as I said, I'm not a lot on social media, but when I see that, I'm like, why do I have to live with people like this on a planet? Why can't humans just be smarter, and yeah, and then I just listen to a podcast of people I enjoy and people who actually have interesting stuff to say, and then it's all right. Or I go outside or something, having a walk, or I'm working out, but sometimes, and social media especially is an awful place. There is so much stupid stuff. Like, the stuff that is entertaining on social media, this is like the thing. On social media, everybody can upload. And there's almost nobody I find really funny on social media. There are people who really try hard in being funny, and they actually know what they're doing because they read book about entertainment. Because the thing is, entertaining people is not just being like, ha ha ha, so funny. It's not just, it's really about, it's a craft. Comedy, I can make a lot of videos about comedy. My manga is also comedy. I try to make it comedy. It's a little bit hard for me, but I try to make it like this. It's not always the case. It kind of got really serious in the last chapters, but I also want to write comedic scenes. And the thing is, on social media, I see a lot of people. As I said, I'm not a lot on social media. I just consume certain podcasts or stuff that I write something, I draw something, and I listen to a podcast or something, or I go out. But on social media, everybody can upload videos, and there are a lot of people, a lot of stuff that should entertain people on social media is stuff that really is unprofessional, and that is just like the stuff that works best as funny on social media is stuff where people make relatable stuff, and I don't mean memes. Memes are their own culture, and I mean, I'm an internet kid too. I grew up with memes as well. Memes are, I'm not really talking about memes. Memes are something I can take serious. I like memes, depending on how they are. How is the meme? Does the meme feel good? But I'm talking about stuff that you see on Instagram sometimes. Reels, TikTok is worse. I'm not on TikTok. I have a um I have a uh sorry. I have an account on TikTok, but I'm just uploading there. I'm not gonna go on TikTok. But sometimes I'm on Instagram and I see reels. And a lot of stuff that is supposed to be funny is stuff that is relatable. And it's just about being relatable. And this is not really what comedy is. Comedy can be relatable, of course. If there's a joke and you really can relate to it, it's great. But really, comedians, I even bought a book on that topic, how to write funny, and I really want to read that, and I maybe can talk about this on my channel. But the thing is with comedy is a craft that you have to work on. Comedians are professional people. They're not just funny like that. They have to write their jokes. They have to figure out how to write a line to make it funny to the viewer, to the person who's gonna go into the comedy show, and comedy and horror are really connected to each other in the way that you have to shock or surprise the people who is consuming it person. And comedians rewrite their jokes. They craft their jokes to make something funny. They just don't be like, oh, there was something weird happening in my life, and now I'm gonna film myself for 5 minutes to show everybody how weird that is, and make everybody laugh about it. And person just stands in front of the camera, just makes something that is so relatable to a lot of idiots, and then it just gets famous. And it has nothing to do with real comedy writing. It has nothing to do with it. I don't know a lot about comedy writing, but I heard some stuff. I read some stuff, so I know that there's more to it than just saying something funny, relatable. And relatable works the best, because if you all can relate to it, then we can survive real life. There's much more to it than just relating to it. Relating can be one of the things, but when it's just about being relatable, nothing really original can be created. Yeah. And yeah, comedy is a craft. It's a skill. It's not just being funny by accident. And of course, sometimes something can be hilariously funny when it's just done in 5 minutes, when the person is smart about it, or not even smart, when the person is just, when there's just something happening really ridiculous, it can be funny, even though nobody really prepared for it. It can be funny. There is funny stuff on the internet, and this is what makes the internet just such a weird place. But not everything there's just funny. And yeah, I just wanted to say that, because this is the other thing that I see, and I don't really pay attention to that. I rather, the more shitty stuff I see, the more I'm motivated to create good stuff. I work hard on it, I evolve it, I draw it, I load it up. One person likes it. I'm sitting depressed in the corner. And then I'm becoming Naruto and I say, I'm the next Hokage. I'm gonna stand up and keep working on my art. I think the last part of this video was really funny. I think I'm slowly getting better in articulating myself. I'm slowly becoming a social media comedic entertainer. This is amazing. We all like comedy, we want to see that. We want to be entertained because life is shit. No. Yeah, this just comes from someone who works hard, who puts their heart into their work. And I wake up, I go on social media, I just see so many. I don't really scroll. I just see something and I get off of it immediately. But I just know that it exists. I know there is existing so much trash on Earth that is so unnecessary. And I'm just sitting here being like, I want to create something special where people look at it and they're like, this is not trash, this is actually good stuff. And I'm happy that this exists because it makes my life actually better. And I feel like I'm improving by this as a human being and it has a true impact on me. I want to have an impact on people. I know I'm a channel with 641 subscribers, 43 now. 3 people subscribed recently. I know to some people I'm a nobody. But I'm just a number on social media, but you don't really know me. Like my life, I was always really creative. So and I know every story I worked on, I was putting a lot of value into it. So I think I have a big creative journey behind me and I'm proud of myself, and there's more to me than just being a really small channel on YouTube. But as I said, I want to create something that is really cool. And I will do that my whole life because I was always like that my whole life. Since I was a kid, I was always trying to tell stories. This is the only thing I really have to do in my life. This is the only thing that really. My friends matter too, my family matters, but yeah, this is the only thing that really matters to me, And I have quite fun with it. And I'm someone. The trash I know that exists really motivates me to keep going and to do something cool. Because I just want to create a story, a piece of fiction where people can look at it and they realize this is done for smart people. And it makes fun about the idiocy. I don't know if you say it like this, I am German. About every idiot on human earth and just have a good time with it because we all die in the end. This is how it is, but just looking at someone that tells you like, dude, there's so many idiots on motherfucking earth, but we all have our shit together. Maybe I can create a community like this on YouTube. My stomach. I want to create a piece of fiction like this, And there's just so much drive I have, so much passion I have. I don't know why I have so much passion. Maybe it's because I'm schizophrenic, I don't know. I just think so much about it. I want to create, and then I just sit down and keep going, The depressing part is, do people really see it? Yeah, that was it. My coffee. my stomach doesn't like coffee, but I'm still gonna continue drinking coffee because coffee time is the best day in my day. I don't know, just coffee break is just feels just good. I just love coffee. I don't drink a lot of coffee, but I like coffee. Yeah. I talk now for an hour. I just want you to keep that video 15 minutes long. I don't know if a lot of people will see it. I hope people will see it because I think it was kind of funny in the end. I'm gonna stop the video now and continue drawing. So thank you very much if you listened that far. Sorry, my English is bad. If you want to support me, go read my Webtoon Stormbreaker. Go on my X, Twitter. I don't know. Follow me there. Follow my Instagram. That helps me. If the stuff I upload on Webtoon now should be deleted, that I can share with you where I'm gonna continue uploading. Subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment. I love comments, and hype the video up. I know I don't really cut in my videos, I just talk. But yeah, I hope that's fun to people. Maybe I show my face in the future. I will do that, but not now. I just don't feel comfortable right now. Yeah, thank you very much for listening and see you in the next video. Goodbye.